Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Brush Sauce Theater. It was kind of requested a week or two ago to have some kind of virtual plein air painting demonstration on, so I have a guest that I found, and yeah, we're gonna go through that. So everybody, I'm back with another episode of the Brush Sauce Theater. I have a special guest, Justin Conway, on with me today, and he's gonna show us how he approaches the virtual plein air painting. I met you on Instagram a few weeks ago, so yeah, say hello.
Yeah, hi, I'm Justin.
What is your favorite genre and stuff that you really like to get into? I have your portfolio on here, so
Oh, that's difficult because I honestly really love everything. I know my portfolio kind of shows like half realistic, half not like full-fledged into sci-fi or anything, but it kind of teeters on realism and
you get a very
kind of
contemporary approach to things.
yeah, it's just kind of some twists on real life.
Really cool.
Um,
But yeah,
yeah.
I was I was saying I found you through Instagram because you for a while there you were posting at least pretty consistently these virtual plein air paintings, and I thought these things were awesome. You did a really good job with them.
Yeah, so I actually barely knew how to paint before I started these.
Hmm.
I like the paintings on my website took forever, and like I know no other artist takes this long, so
Hmm. Yeah, it
I
seems like
decided
you
to.
came from like more of like a drafting type of background where you could really articulate your ideas just through the use of line and shapes. But yeah, that which is a whole different discipline than painting in itself, as you probably learned, right?
Oh man, that's all at FCD.
Yep. I've had a
Oh,
lot of. I'm not trying to do one of those shameless plugs. I've had a couple other students that did the FCD program. They come to me like, okay, I just got drilled for 10 months, but I have no idea how to paint or do color. Help me out with this. So,
yes.
and that's what we'd work on. But yeah, it seems like you've got a really nice grasp on obviously design. That's what they specialize there. But your use of shapes and color and how you simplify things. I thought these things were just fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And for me, looking at the virtual plein air stuff, particularly on Facebook, you can see the group over here. Uh, you're gonna have. I think my most interesting part about looking at that is how people art direct, and stylize reality.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of fun. I tried to change the camera angle on
Hmm.
each place and try to like put my own twist on it, but still stick true to the reference. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it lets you kind of creatively stretch too. And I think the huge, the bonus for doing this is it can teach so many disciplines for artists and students that just want to either warm up for the day or practice like a technique or work on their principles.
Yeah, right. So this painting, with this
Hmm.
reference, it was only about like 2 hours ish,
Hmm.
and it's just nice to just sit down and study something.
Yeah, and
And
that's kind of where the one I did took about 2 hours, so it's a kind of good time frame. So we have your time lapse here. We're gonna just run this through, and you just feel free to go through your process here.
yeah, so I mean, I don't have like a full-on committed process for each painting. I
Hmm.
guess uh, I'm still learning, like a lot of other people,
Yes.
but mainly I saw Jeremy Fanks's stuff,
Hmm.
and I saw how he uses his loose lines, and I really wanted to try that. So I tried just a
Awesome.
lot of like quick gestures.
I
Uh,
think that's what it's about. When you do the quick gestures and as you mentioned the loose lines, they're not those kind of squiggly or jaggedy the lines that are not confident. When you have these bold lines like that, it does show a degree of confidence, and it kind of can help you make things that aren't very stiff.
yeah, and it's like you're not going to see the lines in the end, so
Hmm.
the more of guidelines. Just keep
And
things loose.
so you do the drawing on a separate layer, you hit it.
Yeah, and I still don't know how to paint clouds here. I think I got better at them,
Dude, I
but
still can't paint clouds. I fake it every day.
so I know traditional painters start with the background, so
Hmm.
that's what I've been trying out. Um,
Definitely.
Again, still like not an expert on painting or anything. So I just try my best.
Going with
And
intuition, huh?
Yeah, and all the pauses right here are me just analyzing the reference and trying to really understand everything.
I think that's a huge important aspect of this, and I have to tell my students this all the time. Some people they get wrapped up like, oh, he did this in a half an hour, or he did this in an hour. It's all about the speed and that urgency with it. But it's like, no, if you actually just sit down, you dissect and study what is going on in your reference, you'll understand it a lot more, and you can pull a lot more valuable information out of it.
Yeah, and there's so many unique things about like everything.
Hmm.
Like this painting is the seventh, yeah, the seventh painting of the seven virtual plein airs of my home city, Philadelphia.
Oh, cool.
So like even around your city, like there's such drastic difference in like architectures and like styles
Hmm.
of everything. So it's like awesome to break down and really study.
Yeah, and that's what's cool about this is like people can basically pick whatever subject matter they want, whether it's completely natural landscapes, if they want to include any amount of architecture, and since it's virtual, you could go anywhere in the world. You could study essentially different architectural styles doing these paintings. There's no limits to how valuable these really are.
Yeah, and it's such a short time commitment
Hmm.
that I mean, it's not.
Something you're gonna like sweat
Yeah,
over, over the course of a
yeah,
week, right?
exactly.
It's just like, okay, I have this block of time. I'm gonna work through this to give it my best effort.
Yeah,
Because I think that's another great benefit of doing these. Because sometimes when we're doing our personal projects and we're working on paintings or even things for work, uh, there's a lot more weight that adds to our stress and to the pressure we put on ourselves. Where if you kind of approach these in a very kind of like lighthearted way, in a sense, that you can have more fun with them, and they're a little more carefree.
yeah. Like only slight twists on stuff.
Hmm.
Otherwise, like sticking true to the reference. But you can create some awesome stuff with it.
Yeah, and I like in particular how I noticed that you went with a lower camera angle. Just because like it's a more dynamic angle than the ones usually the if anyone's been on like the Map Crunch site or Google Earth, the angles are all like at a very awkward height because it's like a camera from like the top of a car on a pole.
Yeah, it's not like on a level that anybody else would normally see things.
Yes,
So
unless you're
it's just
like
kind of
Andre the
awkward.
Giant, right? You're walking from like you put yourself into the perspective of a person here.
Yeah, yeah. So I at FCD we were taught to try and make the paintings immersive,
Hmm.
you know, like really try and put yourself in the scene.
It's not
So
a bad
I
philosophy.
yeah, I try to think about that a lot.
So I see you made a separate layer and you're making your own kind of like graphics so you can just quickly skew them into place here. I think that's a great technique. You have anything you want to elaborate on these?
Sure. I learned about that through Shadi Safadi,
Mm-hmm.
his YouTube videos.
Nice.
Uh, I mean, he spends a lot longer making it perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I I think for these like quicker paintings that you can still use some of his process and you know
Yeah, and it makes sense
get
because
what you want out of
it
it.
keeps everything really clean.
Yeah,
Which if
and
that's a value, right, that you want in your work, it's there's definitely no harm in doing it. And sorry I interrupted you.
no, it's cool. It's just his thing is he likes to paint in the brush strokes so he
Mm-hmm.
can like brush over them if that makes sense.
Yeah, like
You
that
have
have
to
a
check.
natural media feel, but still have a very clean look.
Yeah, right. And yeah, his work's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I like his stuff.
Definitely agree. Really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is a great example too. And again, we'd like to plug Jeremy Fenskes tutorial. He's been going wild with these things, and he does it on Twitch, and he does awesome. He does awesome stuff, and I've learned a lot from his stuff, as I'm sure you have. But this is like a great technique where if you approach things from kind of background to foreground, you keep them relatively separate in terms of layer. It allows the painting to be really flexible and clean at the same time.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to work on not using so many layers now,
Hmm.
but because man, I use so many for these. But also speaking about Jeremy, actually, I actually got his brushes immediately after this because I was like, oh man, I can't paint trees.
Yeah, his brushes are great for a lot of these things,
Yeah,
which he has them for free on his Gumroad. But yeah, I think it's all about having those clear shapes for the trees. I looked at about a dozen tree paintings this week for the design class, and a lot of them had the same problem where the edges just get completely lost. So having
Yeah.
that degree of edge control in these is a huge thing to be mindful of.
Yeah. I think that's what I've been noticing too. I've been trying to keep up with the studies on these because that's the what I struggle with most
Hmm.
in my paintings is just these organic shapes.
But whatever you're doing is clearly working. Like for example, you're not putting your shadows like they're not like you're not using black to shade, and things that are white are not purely white. You're having this degree of subtlety to it that I think a lot of beginner painters tend to not understand, or they haven't kind of reached that level yet that they're trying to approach that with their work. Everything tends to be a lot flatter.
Yeah, I honestly don't know how much input I can have about color theory because I'm still learning so much. But I try to just take a lot of things into consideration, including like how reflective something might be, and um, that's the biggest thing for me is just reflections, like in how color reflects.
Yeah, and if it's if it's bouncing on or off a certain surface. If
Yeah.
For me, the main thing to be wary of, or that I try to pay attention to, is the color temperature. Um, some of my earlier things ended up being a lot. They end up being really flat because I would do like a warm shadow and a warm, what is it? A warm light source. So when you have warm on warm, it tends to flatten things out. Whereas if you do like a warm light and have cooler shadows, or cool warm light. No, I got that all mixed up. If you have cool light, warm shadows, warm light. Yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. It's the opposite.
Yeah.
You got to be tongue tied here today. That's what happens.
I
But
definitely try and push that.
mhm.
I'll go pretty unrealistic with colors in certain spots. Like even right here, I'm pushing the atmosphere a lot more. Uh,
And I'm glad you did it. It's one of my favorite aspects of this.
that I learned from Feng because he does a lot of that.
Yeah, you gotta. I think when trying the idea of like reality and selling it kind of as a concept like this, it's good to exaggerate certain aspects, whether that's color, whether that's atmospheric perspective, and light. There's always a good amount. There's a lot of good value in exaggerating certain features.
Yeah, and I try to like stick as close to the reference as possible until a certain point,
Hmm.
which was right then when the ending of the video.
And then you just put your own intuition into it, right?
Yeah,
Try to
that's
embellish reality.
yeah. Try and make everything look pretty.
All right, but that's the point of these, and how we can use this artistic license of ours. This is your interpretation of the scene. How if I did the same scene, or if anybody else did the same scene, it could come out, drastically different, and
Oh
that's
yeah,
totally cool because it's somebody's individual interpretation of this. So
right. And it's so good to see. Like if you look on that Facebook page, there's so many different kind of styles that come out.
yeah,
It's so awesome.
and you can learn a lot about style and a lot about simplification and a lot about design too, just from
Yeah.
lots of keen observations. But anyways, thank you for coming on today. I wanted somebody that did a few more of these than I've only done one to this day, but so I wanted to have you. You had a little more experience in these, and you've had a lot of good success. So thank you for coming on and kind of giving us some of these tips. Thank you for watching my video. If you found it helpful, please leave me a like. If you want to help me out, please share it with your friends. I'm also on Facebook, where I have a subscribe button where you can get newsletters and discount info. I'm also on Twitter, where I update and post images almost regularly. If you want a chance to mingle and meet other like-minded individuals such as yourself, join the Brush Tosh community, free and open to anyone, of course through the Google+. And finally, if you'd like to inquire about my mentorship program, head over to tyleredlinart.com, click on the mentorship tab, scroll through, read over some of the guidelines, and feel free to check out several of my testimonial videos on my YouTube channel itself.